So I think that I am more nervous to film this video than I have been about any video I've ever filmed, and I don't really know why. I think it's because it's something I'm really passionate about and something that I know is a really just full-on thing to discuss. So yeah, let's get into it. So I am a little bit ill, so if I sound a bit off or if I cough or sniffle, I am recovering from a little bit of a cold, so please excuse that. But I wanted to do a disclaimer before I start the video. Number one, to say that if you're going through an eating disorder or anything, I will be talking about my previous experience with an eating disorder. So if that's going to be triggering to you, then don't watch this video. And also the second thing will be that I'm not making this video to call anybody out or to say anybody is a person or anyone's, I don't know, I'm not doing this to create drama. Basically, I'm just sharing my experience, and if you've had a different experience and you have a different opinion, that's fine. I'm sharing my experience because that is what I do on this channel, and that is how I've connected with people online, and I know that my experience isn't the only, I'm not the only person who's gone through this. I know that there will be so many other women who've gone through the same thing, and men, and that's why I want to talk about it. So yeah. So I want to talk about dieting and why I have stopped dieting completely. And a lot of you might be thinking, but you haven't dieted in a long time. And I've talked about intuitive eating and healthy eating, etc., and not calorie counting for a long time on this channel. But there is a new tier of getting away from a certain element of dieting that I've only recently come to the realization of, that I want to talk about. But before we get into it all, I think that it's important for me to go back and explain my history with dieting and where it all began. So I definitely had a very healthy relationship with food when I was growing up. My mum always cooked really delicious meals at home, and there was no restriction there surrounding types of food or anything. And I was always very, very skinny as a child. I was definitely teased for being very skinny and very tall. And when I was a teenager, I definitely was the envy of my friends because I was very skinny and tall. And that became a part of my identity. And I think this really contributed in the future as I became a woman. It contributed a lot to the problems that I ended up having with eating. And it all started at university when I first experienced gaining weight. I was 18 years old. I started to binge drink and binge eat. And I definitely think I was going through a bit of a hard time at uni, finding myself and making friends. And it was just a lot that time of my life. So I definitely was going through it, and I ended up gaining a really significant amount of weight. And instead of maybe trying to figure things out and talk to someone about it, I decided to just go on a really restrictive diet like a lot of girls do, and I tried everything that the media told me to do. So everything that magazines and social media and I'd heard about to lose weight, I tried it, and I calorie counted macros, ran every single day to try and lose weight. I, skipped meals, all of it, everything I tried, and I tried lots of different random weird diets, and I always failed. I found it impossible. I found it very, very hard to restrict my calories and very, very hard to do that. I was someone who enjoyed food so much, and I find myself getting very faint and just not functioning properly if I didn't eat. So I ended up developing an eating disorder. I ended up developing bulimia, and I kept it a secret. I have a whole video on my eating disorder story, and it was hell on earth, and it definitely was probably the worst time of my life. I was completely lost. I was going back and forth between restricting and binging and having absolutely no idea how to get out and what to do, because I had this eternal desire to be skinny. So what started my recovery was finding veganism. This was a saving grace for me. I found a whole online community of people who were raving all about this healthy lifestyle and who were showing me how I could eat food and be healthy and lose weight. That was the huge appeal to me to begin with. And that was what drew me in, the fact that I could eat all this food and lose weight. And it was wonderful in so many ways, because it really taught me to learn about listening to my hunger signals, learn about nutrition and health, and also to understand that starving yourself is not going to be good for you. But on the flip side, it taught me a new set of restrictions and a new set of rules. and definitely limited me in other ways. But the one thing that I got out of veganism from the very beginning, from the day I found it, was the animal agriculture industry, learning about that and learning about the environment. And that is why I am vegan now to this day, and I will always be vegan for ethical reasons. And that gave me something outside of myself at the time to be passionate about. I was only looking and focusing on my looks and my outward appearance, and veganism gave me something outside of that to be passionate and care for, and gave me a purpose at that point in my life. So I was watching these people online and wanting to be as happy and healthy as they were. They had given me permission to eat food again, and I was just so thankful to them. And this started my recovery from my eating disorder. I recovered in the years to come. I stopped binging, I stopped purging, and I definitely had ups and downs. There was times when I was vegan when I definitely had periods where I was suffering from bulimia, but then I would come back out again, and it was normally to do with the other things that were going on in my life, so down times and hard times. But the only thing is that I did end up developing a new set of disordered eating that I think was coming out of my eating disorder in another way. It wasn't as harmful, but it definitely is something that I'm leaving behind now, because it was a whole new set of rules essentially, and it was controlling how I was eating. So I wasn't eating oil, I was focusing on eating a lot of fruit, eating a lot of starches, keeping it extremely low fat, really avoiding processed foods, and feeling bad when I did eat out and when I did eat oily, processed vegan foods, which never should have been my focus when I was recovering from my eating disorder. So I was teaching myself language of this food is healthy food, this food is junk food, this food should be limited, and this food should be eaten in abundance. I should never cook with oil, I shouldn't eat out more than once a week. Low fat is the best food to eat, you know, avoid avocado and tofu, and don't eat too many processed foods. And these thoughts were going around in my head constantly. And sadly, I have realized now in the last year that this still comes under the umbrella of diet culture. If there are any rules and any regulations to a healthy lifestyle or a diet, it's still diet culture, because it's still telling you to do something and it's not giving you the option or the choice to think for yourself and do what makes you feel good. So I'm learning how to neutralize food now and learning how to speak about it in a neutral manner, because I have a platform and I don't want to be giving any girls, any boys, anyone who is going through an eating disorder, recovering from one, or learning about veganism, I don't want to give them any disordered eating habits that I have adopted myself. I don't want to pass that on to them. So I'm no longer going to be the food police, and I'm no longer going to be listening to the food police. So I know that I'm vegan, and some people might say, but you're restricting there because you're vegan. I'm vegan for ethical reasons, and that's my choice. But within veganism, you can eat any food that you could not if you weren't a vegan. So you can eat cheese, meat, hot dogs, whatever, pizza. It's the same thing. So I don't see those foods as off limits to me, because it's an ethical choice. If it was different, and if I was seeing it in a different way, and if you are, then I would, you know, rethink veganism for you at this point in your life, because which is something I never thought I would say, because I definitely used to be a lot more harsh when it comes to veganism. But if you're going through disordered eating and you're using veganism as another way to control your food, then you need to rethink doing that, because it's only going to end in, you know, it's only going to end in disaster, and it's not the route to take. If you want to go vegan for ethical reasons, for the environment, or because it makes you feel really good and really healthy, then do that for those positive reasons, not to restrict further, and that is seriously important. The reason that I quit dieting is because I don't want any foods to be off limits to me, and I don't want to tell anyone else that foods are off limit to them. It's really scary, because most of us, and women especially, have been targeted to be told that you have to eat a certain way and you have to limit certain things, and it's really scary to let go of that idea. A huge thing that I have learned in the last few years, thankfully, since going vegan, is about hunger and satiation. And this is a really hard one if you diet or you restrict your calories, because you're basically unlearning a natural instinct, and that is when you're hungry and when you're full. So if you've suffered from disordered eating or an eating disorder, or you're going through it right now, this is probably one of the biggest hurdles. But when you eat intuitively, and when you let go of limits when it comes to foods, you're not restricting in your head, you're not restricting physically with the food that you're consuming, and therefore no food is off limits, and there's no panic surrounding food. There's no, oh, I've got to eat this meal now because it's my cheat meal for the day and this is my last opportunity because tomorrow I'm on a diet. There's none of that mentality anymore. You can eat any food at any point in any day that you want. but you just choose to eat what you want to and what makes you feel good and what makes you feel happy in that moment. Another huge thing to let go of dieting and quitting diet culture is to learn to love your body as it is. This is something that I still struggle with, and I think that it's going to be a struggle for a long time, because there is just there's just a certain image that is portrayed in the media, and that is all that we see, and we're basically brainwashed to hate our bodies and hate ourselves. So this is something that you're going to have ups and downs with, and I have ups and downs with, but you really need to learn to love and respect your body as it is now. It is an amazing thing to have a body that can take you through this life and give you so much experience and wonderful things. Like, I wouldn't be here without my body, and I should value that and be appreciative of it, and the way it looks, and the little rolls that it has, or the hair, or the, you know, the discoloration. It really should be something I should be focusing on. I should be focusing on how strong it is, and how powerful it is, and how healthy it is, and how incredible it is that I have a body to take me through this life. And a huge realization is that you won't be happier when you've lost weight. You won't be more successful when you're skinny. You won't be more lovable when you don't have any love handles, which is ironic because love handles should be a good thing. They're called love handles. I've been very, very skinny, and I have been overweight, and I have been in between, and my mental health and my happiness has had absolutely no correlation to those things. It has been to do with my mental health and my mental state and how I'm seeing food and how I'm seeing myself, not to do with my actual physical representation on the outside. Now, having said all this about diet culture and why I'm quitting dieting, this doesn't mean that I'm not interested and not passionate about health and nutrition. I am. I have learned so much about food, and I've learned so much about nutrition that I will still carry on. The difference is I'm no longer viewing it as a restriction or something that I should be limiting myself with. I've learned what foods I enjoy, what foods make me feel good, what foods make me feel a bit sloppy, and that is really important. I've let go of the hierarchy of foods in my head, and this is the biggest thing, is that, I know I've been rambling for a long time, but the biggest thing here is that I'm no longer going to have a hierarchy of foods in my head. This food is good, this food is bad, this food is junk, this food is healthy. I'm literally letting go of all of that, because it's utter nonsense. It doesn't matter whether food is good or bad or whatever. You shouldn't use that language around food vocally or in your brain, because all it does is create negative emotion and restriction. I think one of the biggest things that actually got me to this place was going traveling and going away and experiencing new things. I think that going away from my own little bubble taught me that there are more important things in this world. There are people who are suffering. There is, you know, I had to eat out every single night when I was traveling and eat loads of oil and fat, and who cared, because it didn't make me gain weight and it didn't make me unhappy. It didn't make me break out. This miraculous crazy thing didn't happen to me when I was eating these so-called bad foods. If you're in a diet culture rut, then all I can say to you is try and get out there, get out in the world and just experience life, experience travel, experience people, experience your passion, pursue your dreams, and just try your hardest to let go of this idea that food and what you're eating is going to control your life. And I'm not saying that obviously if you're going through an eating disorder you're able to do this, because I understand that it's a lot more complicated than that. I've been there. But diet culture and dieting, there's so much more to life than that. And if this video is just a little sort of makes you realize something, then I've done my job. And if it's just the little first step towards making changes, then yeah, this video is worth it. I know that it's a long journey, and I know it's going to take a long time, because basically we've been brainwashed and indoctrinated with this idea our entire lives. So it's not something that you can just say goodbye to in an instant, because even when I'm scrolling on Instagram and when I'm walking down the street and I'm in the shops, I'm seeing diet messages come at me everywhere I look. So it ain't easy, but I want to be somewhere on the internet. I want to be a person on the internet that you can come to and know that I'm never going to be telling you what to eat. I'm never going to be talking about food in that way, and I'm never going to be encouraging you to diet or restrict in any way. And I think more of us need to do that. More influencers need to do that. More people who are watched online, on television. We need to be more careful with what we're saying. I've been there and I've made mistakes, and I'm holding my hands up to say that I've said things and I've done things and I shouldn't have, and I feel bad about it. I've taken a lot of my videos down recently that I am ashamed of, because I was preaching things that I I was in a bad mental space. I wasn't aware of what I was saying and the impact it was having. I wasn't aware of myself, and hindsight is incredible. But the good thing is I have come to where I am now, and I hope moving forwards I can teach you guys what I have learned and share my experiences and share bloody delicious food without telling you that it's healthy or unhealthy or junk food or good food. It can just be food that you can enjoy, and if you're interested in eating vegan food, I've got some recipes for you, and that's all. That is why I'm leaving diet culture behind. That is why I'm not dieting anymore, and I really think that I am embarking into a much happier place when it comes to food and my weight and my body and my life, and I'm excited for it. So I have a few people that have really inspired me on this whole journey, and I will leave them linked below. There's one girl in particular called Laura Thomas on Instagram. She shares all the crap surrounding diet culture and calls it out, and she's been a huge inspiration for me very recently and kind of solidified all the thoughts that I was having in my head over the last year. But yeah, I really want you to unfollow any people online who make you feel crap about yourself, even if they're not intending to. Some people just lead a healthy lifestyle and that's what they're sharing, but if it makes you feel like crap, even if they're happy and they have no problems with eating or disordered eating and they're living their best life, if they make you feel rubbish about yourself, unfollow them and don't follow any diets, and try and follow some people who make you feel good about yourself, people who share positive, you know, happy thoughts and make you feel good and don't make you feel crap about your body and your life and the way you look, etc. We need to stand together as men and women and say to the media, we are fed up, we're not doing this anymore, we're not replacing our meals with shakes anymore, we're not using contraptions to make our waist slimmer, we're not skipping meals, and we're not punishing our bodies with exercise that we hate. Men and women of any size suffer from disordered eating and eating disorders because of this fat-phobic, skinny-centric world that we live in. And I've had enough. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. So I'm gonna enjoy and embrace my body. I'm going to eat all the food that I want, and I'm gonna live my life. Nobody is gonna tell me what I can or can't eat. I'm not gonna tell you what you can and can't eat, and nobody's gonna tell me what I should or shouldn't look like, and you shouldn't let anyone tell you what you should or shouldn't look like. We are all beautiful in our own right, and I'm not hearing it from anyone else that isn't true, because it is. Yeah, that's all I have to say on this topic. I really hope that this spoke to you and this helped you in some way, and let's make the comments down below kind and helpful and supportive, because that is the community that I want to be on this channel. I don't want any, you know, negativity or arguing or anything like that, or people being mean. So be supportive and kind to each other, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video.